Hello everyone, and what is up? In this video I'm going to be sewing the Sienna shift dress. I found this pattern on Etsy and I thought it was so cute. So I will link it down below, and I think I'm going to do another toile of this just because it looks pretty detailed, so I don't want to risk messing up the fabric that I bought for it. I bought a navy gingham pattern. It's really cute. I'll show it to you a little bit later. So I just have this open in my Adobe Acrobat Reader. So I'm going to test print this first page. Excuse the mess. I have my ruler. So it needs to be 10 centimeters. It is exactly 10 centimeters, as you can see. So I'm gonna print the rest of this pattern and tape it together and cut it out, and then I will be back. Fabric that I plan on making the final version of this dress in, it's this really pretty navy gingham. I got it off of Joann's. I'll link it below. Alright, so the first thing the pattern calls to do is to take these long strips that we cut out and like pretty much create bias tape. So it asks us to first fold the piece in half and iron that lightly, and then we're going to fold the sides into the center. So it's gonna look something like this. If you can see that. Fold it into the center like that. Of course they'll be touching, and you fold it in half first to kind of create like a guide, like a line, like a center line. And then, so once we do that, and we'll fold these pieces inward, like so. It's not a great representation. Like that. And then we'll fold it again. So it's skinny like that. So I'm gonna go do that, and I'll kind of show you the different stages of what I just talked about. Alright, so step one, I ironed it, folded it in half and ironed it. Please ignore these edges. But you can see that line, you know, the crease line. So we're gonna use that as a guide and fold these side pieces inwards, these side pieces in half. So they're gonna be folded in half into the center like that. See that? So I'm gonna go do that and I'll be right back. Okay, so this is the second step, like that. So you can see I folded the outsides in. Alright, so this is the final product. If that'll focus. You can see it's, I guess, folded in fourths, technically, but it is nice and folded and ironed. So this will be trim kind of for the ruffle pieces of this dress. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the other one real quick, and then we'll be back for the next step. Alright, so I just got done doing the other piece. This one's the super long piece. So the next step is to do some stay stitching on the bodice. So we're going to be stay stitching the necklines. Let me zoom out. So this is the front. So we're going to do stay stitching along the neckline and also along the neckline of the back bodice pieces. So here and there. So I'm going to go do that real quick and I will be back. Okay, just got back from stay stitching. Turned out pretty good. I did it at 3/8 of an inch. The seam allowance for this piece is 5/8, so figured that would give me plenty of room. Alright, so my camera cut out and it didn't really show anything past showing the stay stitching. So what I was doing is marking my darts because that's the next thing we have to do. But I was showing that, what I do is I'll like match my pattern half up. This is for the front bodice, and I'll line it up, and I'll pull it up a little bit at the bottom, mark the two like legs of the dart, and then I'll take a pin and I'll pin at the apex, and I'll push it through the paper and the fabric and lift the pattern up, and I'll mark where that pin is so you can see right there. So I did that already for the front. I'm gonna do it for the back so you guys can see more closely. So, pattern piece is lined up, and I'll move it up some so you can see there's a little bit of fabric sticking out. And I'll mark the bottoms. I'll move it back down. That open. I'll take pin, and I'll pin up here at the top, the apex of my dart. I'll make sure it goes through both the pattern and the fabric. Then I lift my pattern up, take my pen, and I just mark where the pin is going into the fabric. So I found that works pretty well. So do that with the other one. Alright, so now that we have marked our darts, we're going to pin them. So what I like to do is start with pinching the bottom, pinching the marks at the base of the dart, and then folding them together. So we have that. This is the base of it. I'll take my pin and I'll place it a little bit farther out. Kind of hard to tell. Place it like here. And then, so when you're sewing a dart, you start at the base, which is here. And you sew all the way down when you get to the point, and then you just sew off of the fabric, and we'll just tie the loose ends. So when you're placing your pins, you always want to place them pointed towards where you're starting to sew, so that it's easy to just take them out when you get to them. So I'm going to place the other dart, or the other pin, at the point. I always confuse myself when I'm doing darts, so I usually have to think about it for some reason. Everyone has their thing. Okay, so this is what it's looking like. So we have our pins going towards where we're starting to sew. You start at the base, and then you just sew right off of the apex, and you can do I'll probably do like 1 or 2 back stitches at the base. So let me go ahead and pin the rest. So I already did this one, and I went ahead and did the other bodice, back bodice piece, because I messed up when I was explaining it. So now we're gonna do the front. Alright, so now they're ready to sew. So I'm gonna get in my sewing machine and line it up and start from here and just sew down. And then I'll tie off the end and then iron the darts flat. And I think you normally fold them in instead of out. So fold them towards the center. All right, darts are sewn and pressed. See, that's the wrong side. This is the right side. Look nice. Okay, so let's see. Let me see that. The next step is to sew our shoulder seams. So what I'm gonna do, place right sides together. Pin the back to the front. Okay. So, pin. Like that. So you're gonna sew it like this. I'm noticing there's a little bit of a gap. I don't know if that's my fault or what. It looks like the pattern is like that. There seems to be a little bit of extra space on the outside. So yeah, actually kind of a lot. So just be aware of that. You can see there. The next step is to, after doing the shoulder seams, is to sew our neckband together. So I'm gonna go ahead and knock that out when I sew shoulder seams. So we'll have our front face down. Okay, back from sewing the neckband, I went ahead and pressed out the seams with the seam allowances and the shoulder seams on my bodice. Okay, I'm gonna kind of experiment with these on camera. I've never used them before, pinking shears, but they help finish your seams. So now it's time to stitch the neckband onto the bodice. So what I'm gonna do is pin it, match up the shoulder seams first. I've heard that clover pins, I think that's what they're called, help a lot when you are sewing seams because it kind of keeps it together, and you can like sew right over it because it was designed for quilting, but I don't have that. So I'm just gonna use a regular pin. Did I just screw that up? Yeah. Try the correct one. Okay, so the front's done. See, I started pinning on the shoulders, and then I go in the center, and then I go on either side. It's not really matched up evenly, but it works. So I'm gonna do the back. Now the backs, I like to first pin the end. So here. And this is where I'll start sewing. Throw another one on. Same on this side. Okay. Put one more in there. Okay, so now I'm ready to sew. So I'm gonna go ahead and sew the neckband on with a 5/8 seam allowance. All right, so I've sewn my facing. Let me flip it over. Sewn my facing to my bodice, and it's looking good. See, this is the top is my facing, and the bottom is the bodice. See. Okay, so next is to do the understitching. And to do this, we have to trim, I can't see, to trim the seam allowance. So how we're gonna sew it is we'll flip the facing over like this, and we'll sew on the facing and the seam allowances. But the shorter the seam allowances are, the easier it is for the facing to stay down once we fold it over and press it. So the way I've learned is to cut your facing about, I think, like 1/4 of an inch, and then, so I'll demonstrate that. And then to do your bodice seam allowance twice as much. So see that this facing is about half the height of the bodice seam allowance. So I'm gonna do this all the way around, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Alright, so I have finished trimming the seam allowances for the facing and the bodice. Okay, so I just got back from doing my understitch. You can see this is on the top part. See how close that stitch is to the seam. Sometimes wasn't as close as I would like it, but I think was pretty consistent. On the back side it looks kind of crazy, but this top stitch, oh, ignore that. This top stitch is that stay stitching from the beginning, and then this middle stitch is that under stitch that we just did, and this stitch is the connecting seam. So yeah, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna iron this, and you want, if you're looking at it from the back, you want a little bit of the front bodice poking through so that you know none of the facing is going to be showing in your finished product. So I'm going to go do that. Okay. I've just got done with ironing this. It looks nice. So you can see I've ironed the facing to fold under the front of the bodice. So this is the back side, the back shoulder piece, and this is the front. This one's just a bit bigger, so that's how we know it's the back. I'm pretty sure, at least. Yeah, back, and then the small one's the front. And we're also going to, I think it's these. So these guys together, because these are going to be our frill, I think, that go on the back of the shoulder pieces. Okay. So okay, and I'm pretty sure these are different. So it's all folded. Pull back one side, and we're gonna pin wrong sides together, this edge to the frill edge. Like that. Here I'll start this one. So it's gonna look like that. And when we sew it, this piece is gonna fold over the other side. So it'll look like that. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pin the rest of this and do the other one and sew them both, and I will be right back. Okay, just got done doing the edge stitching. Mostly went well. Started off strong. I still need to work on like stitching like consistently, I guess. But yeah, I kind of messed up there a little bit, but then I got back on track. It was good for a little while. Some of the didn't fold it in quite enough at that part. And then I guess it wasn't that bad. Okay, I'm gonna pin this now. Alright, so got a little wonky. My shoulder seams are not together, but I'm just gonna keep going because it's not something that I'm worried about. And my matching, that's where the difference is. Right sides together. On it, like the edge to the edge. And then you'll fold this piece over. So I'm gonna go do that. Be right back. Of the bodice is done. Easier to look at it like this. You can see we have a sleeve, and that frill looks really good, and an armhole. So I'm gonna do the same exact thing on this side, and then I will be back so we can start on the skirt. Alright, so now I have to do the darts for the skirt. Let's see. Okay, so next step, pin the back skirt to the front skirt at the side seams. So alright, my other side pin, I'm gonna go sew the side seams and press them open, and I'll be right back. Okay, so got my skirt sewn together. Now we're going to attach the bodice to the skirt. trimmed my seams, and it says to press seam towards waistline. So I think that's up from what it looks like in the picture. Okay, I'll be right back. So we're gonna line up the end of our zipper seam, or zipper, invisible zipper, like the top of it, with that hem, because after we sew it in, we're gonna fold the back hem over like that and then pop it out. So that's how we're gonna finish it. So I went ahead and marked 5/8 of an inch with my invisible pin, and then I pinned at that, so that when we zip up the rest of the dress, it'll be in line with the zipper. So I'm gonna go sew this. I'll be right back. So I sewed my facing down to my zipper and across. So now I'm just going to, I'm just gonna see what it looks like flipped out. Okay, so it makes a really nice clean corner here for your zipper. So I'm gonna do that on the other side too. This is how it looks at the top, and it's a little bit uneven, so I should have paid more attention to that, but it's nice and neat. And you can put a hook and eye at the top. I probably won't do it, definitely not with this toile, but the real deal I might. So last thing to do is to finish sewing the back seam. So I'm going to pin that. Okay, this is how the dress turned out. I love it. It fits great. Everything is hitting where it should be. I think the waistline is at a great place. I love the sleeves. The sleeves are great. I had to, as you can see in the video, I had to seam rip all of this because I sewed the front pieces together on both of these instead of the front to the back. So it was a mess, but I figured it out and we're good. I think it turned out great. I love the length. So this is unhemmed, and so I think like if I hemmed it, it would be probably like that, which is a little bit short. So I'm probably going to lengthen it, probably like 1.5 inches, and then lengthen it longer than I need it, so that way I can shorten it without having it be, you know, too short. So I'll probably lengthen it like 1.5 inches or even 2 inches to be safe. I think that'll be good. But yeah, I love it. I love the shape. I feel like it's flattering on anybody. And the sleeves are just awesome. Yeah. Really great dress. I'll be sure to link it down below. And I think it was under $10, the pattern. So awesome. Yeah, it was a great practice. I'm really glad I did a toile for it so that I wouldn't have made all those mistakes on the pattern or the fabric that I got for it. But yeah, I love it. It'd be great. I might even add pockets, because you know every good dress needs pockets. So I'll probably do that on my final version. But yeah, I love it. It looks really good. So thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. You know, I always rewatch all my videos and kind of take notes as I go as to how I can improve, and as a viewer what I like and what I don't like. So I'm taking notes and kind of trying to think of ways to improve my filming so it's more interesting for the viewer. So yeah, but please subscribe if you would like to and like the video, and be on the lookout for more. I think I'm gonna be uploading every Monday afternoon, like 4 or 5. So yeah, hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Bye.